Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. We are live, making sure we're coming in loud and clear. Say hello to you there. It is Monday night, 7 o'clock, and that means we're talking transformations, mind, body, spirit, and soul. How do we learn to understand the secret language that is within, and then use that to our advantage? And that's what we're talking about here on the transformations each and every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And let me just say hello to everybody out there in the Four Foundations group. This is it's open access, but you got to put some details in. You got to answer one or two questions, 3 questions to be exact, in the Four Foundations group. You know what? I will drop that in just a second here. But I want to say hello and say thank you to how you can support this channel, how you can support this stream, how can you support yourself, and that is what I have for you there at the Harmonious Healings website, drkeving.com. And right here at the top of the menu, you see the little hamburger right there. That's why I like to call it the hamburger. Go to the shop section, and actually you're going to get access to the raw optics. These are some of the products I use and I wholeheartedly support out there, because you gotta protect yourself. In fact, one of the keys to health is preventing toxins getting in, and as well as keeping the channels of elimination open. And so go to Raw Optics right here on the shop, read a little bit about it. It's important to know what you're doing and how you can protect yourself with the blue light protection, and as well as keep those eyes safe and sound. I've heard some really crazy stories. I was living overseas, if you didn't know, for about 2 years in different locations. And a big thing overseas, at least in Southeast Asia, was like internet cafes. And there are some horrific stories of people and eyesight and eyeballs and anatomy issues. And by the way, go to Raw Optics, click on that link. You go here, read a little bit about it. Go to the Access Here button right at the bottom of the article. It's just 2 or 3 paragraphs long. Read about how it can help you. And this is one of the best companies I've ever come across regarding the science behind their glasses and how it works. Go there and support yourself, number one. And my next purchase is day lenses. I got the night lenses first. I do some work here late at night, and but day lenses, I want to get access to this. It's going to be beneficial. And I just found out, because I was looking at it for myself, some of the varieties are sold out. I'm sure they're constantly getting new stock in, but well worth the investment. Protect those eyes. That's all you got for a lifetime. I'll say that. So I'll take them off for the show here, and just want to say hello again and welcome. We're going to be talking about transformations, and the nature of the human body is based on a few simple truths. We're diving into a moment in just a moment. We're talking about the physical / emotional connections, how our emotions of our thoughts, the scale, the vibration, if you will, the feeling of our thoughts are described as emotions, and how that affects the physical body itself. So let's get back to the slides, and we're going to be diving into that concept here in just a moment, but let's cover the basic principles of healing. The body is self-healing and self-regulating. Now, what does that mean? Well, first and foremost, do you agree or disagree that if you were to cut yourself versus cutting a corpse, your body would heal in a couple of days? Now, let's just go with a basic knee scratch for a second. Think about it for a moment. We've all scraped our knee. We've had a cut on our fingertip, whatever it may be, and ultimately, you just wash your hands, or you wash off the dirt and the grime there, and it heals. Do you agree or disagree? So that thought, that essence in mind, get a little more centered there. The essence in mind, would you agree or disagree that our body has self-healing capabilities? Now think about self-regulating. We have our heart, our liver, our spleen, our immune system. We have all these different components of our body that are operating without our conscious control. That's called self-regulating. Okay, so I'm wondering, let's go back here. Do you agree or disagree that our body is self-healing and self-regulating? So point number 2, The purpose of the brain and nervous system is to control and coordinate the functions of all the cells, tissues, and organs in the body and adapt the organism to its environment. That's from Gray's Anatomy. Can you get behind that? So is there anything the nervous system does not regulate? The answer is no. We literally live our lives through our nervous system. So this idea that if there's interference in the nervous system, also known as a subluxation, your body cannot function as fully attended or no longer healing and self-regulating at 100% ability. And the longer this interference is present, the more devastating the effects are to health and well-being. So my job, chiropractor, is to analyze and release the subluxations and I'll add this one, identify their causes, which allow your body to regain its full ability in self-healing and self-regulating, which allows you to enjoy the optimal health, well-being, and longevity of your life. So here's the problem. And this is where we shift gears and talk about what's actually going on. We're going to get into the material here in just a second, but what is the problem? Well, what is the cause of subluxation? It's stress. And more importantly, it's the inability of the body to manage the amount of stress coming at it. Now, there's physical stress, there's biochemical stress, and mental emotional stresses that affect our nervous system. So we need to, which cause that subluxation, we need to correct that subluxation to help the body to regain its abilities and show you ways not to recreate the problem. And that's the nature behind everything that I do. It's the nature behind Decode Your Pain. And so Decode Your Pain is based on recognizing the patterns between the subconscious and conscious. And so this is a conceptual book. And these concepts and precepts, so these are terms that formulate how we come to know our belief, what our beliefs are and expectations, and ultimately how we choose and how we make our decisions. The preferences and responses, the consequences, everything is tied into our precepts and concepts of life. For example, now the exact year I don't have in front of me, but let's say about 125, maybe 150 years ago, it was heresy. It was lunacy to consider washing one's hands prior to surgery. In fact, washing the instruments one uses for surgery. When the idea of washing these instruments and washing the physician's hands prior to moving on to the next patient, that was considered lunacy. However, the concepts of microorganisms, I would imagine to believe at the time, the advent of the microscope had yet to been mainstream. So the practicing physicians of the day were calling what we now consider common sense back then was heresy. And in fact, we can talk about other industries in our reality. We have the advent of the automobile, and there's a very prominent individual of the day and age who said the horse and buggy is here to stay, the automobile is but a fashion. That's a quote there. Maybe I'm paraphrasing. However, the idea that new information equals nonsensical, if operating with that mindset, leaves all of the future to be blocked. And so now is a time of innovation. I may be so bold to talk about. Now is a time of innovation, and that is born out of necessity. So let's go back. Okay, so here we are: thoughts, emotions, physiology. Now, what is physiology? Physiology is a term to describe the nature and totality of how your body operates. How your body operates in response to anything. When you eat food, when your body has to relieve itself of waste, it has to signal the body. Then you get a sensation, and then you go to the bathroom. If you have a desire to accomplish something, your desires regulate your body's ability to move and activate to accomplish that something. Here's another graph I use from another talk I do. And what we're talking about is our mindset, our intention, our thought of what we want, what we desire, affects everything else. So in this case, we have intention to subtle energy, the EMF fields, the chemistry, the structure and function. So this is movement, this is digestion, this is accomplishment, this is typing an email, this is anything. But that's dependent upon how your bones, like your fingers, can your fingers move? Can you type that email? Chemistry, can your body produce the energy to activate your body's ability to move the muscles and bones? Get to the EMF level. Just like any item that has electricity running through it, there's EMF frequencies around that object that can be measurable and detectable. And so every living force, in fact, every living cell has a field of detectable energy around it. And when it comes to the human body itself as a whole, we call things like that chakras and auras. There's a whole world of non-physical anatomy that has been discovered and being revealed and currently being studied in many arenas. And these subtle energy fields, that relates to other things that cause the reality to unfold as it does, but our intention. And then prior to that are the information. This is like a presets and our concepts. This could be in some worlds karma, or we come in with energy, so to speak, and we play that out. And so then our thoughts, our desires, our wishes, our needs get accessed into this intention component, and then the rest plays itself out through the laws of our physical reality. So all this is important because, well, we're talking about how our emotions affect our physical body. Now, we all know that when we're in a bad mood, things appear worse than when we are in a good mood, which they appear better. When we get sick and we're under stress, and pain feels more intense when we're upset. Let's read that again. When we get sick when we're under stress, and pain feels more intense when we are upset. Our emotional state has a very big impact on our body and how it feels. And in the brain, the physical location of our body's primary movement controls directly next to the emotional and sensory parts of the brain. And that's demonstrated on another page, and I'll pull it up here in just a second. But I have some images I want to share with you about how about how the physical emotion has been identified and detected with physical organs in the human body. I have a couple graphics to show you as well. So here's an image that shows about nerve endings and the size of the body part in relationship to the nerve endings. So the fingertips, the tongue, the lips have the majority of nerve endings for sensation when it comes to physical touch. This may not be anatomically correct. And here is an area of the brain sliced in half, and let me zoom out and get a better view in total. If we're looking at the brain from front to back, and the up and down arrow here is the middle, and we'll say this is the right side. There is a component of the brain, a slice, that relates to the physical area of sensation, and this is how it's oriented in the physical brain. Well, if I was going to do the next slice back from this, we would see different emotional states. And when we have different emotional states, for example, this is an emotional state associated with conditional love versus unconditional love. And it's associated with the octave of F. We see that there's different types of organs associated in a negative and or positive way based on when this zone is out of alignment. So when it's out of alignment, it's out of balance, when the harmonics are not working in tune, we'll say, well, these are areas right here that are negatively impacted. And if you look at the colors, this is quite amazing actually. I'm going to zoom in here. We have the green around the ears. So just think about this for a second. Get a good look here. We have love. Conditional versus unconditional love. Our ears what we hear and what we see is affected by that. Oh my goodness. Of course, our digestion affected by that. That's right here. We have liver, our pineal gland. This has a lot to do with how we dream and how we perceive. Also, is a master hormone gland, the body. Again, digestion is huge in this. Our jaw, even dizziness. Wow, so interesting. And this issue that it's if when out of balance is brought into harmony with the octaves of B. And this is also represented with a violet color. This comes from a technology called AO Scan. A company that first developed it was Energy, and this has been some conglomeration of studies and information over a number of years, or a number of sciences over around the world. It's quite beautiful, but this is not new. This is not new. This is just taking it to a different level, showing it graphically, and showing it coming together. And in my world, the foundational research was Dr. Candace Pert. And her story is amazing. I recommend the book Molecules of Emotion. No affiliation from me. I just recommend it. It's a very fun and amazing read. And much is to be learned about the nature of the brain, nature of the body, and in this woman's discoveries led to all the major breakthroughs. And some of them we're still having challenges with when it comes to the brain, nervous systems, emotions, and how it all integrates. In fact, her foundational research born a whole new science called, bear with me, it's a big word, psychoneuroimmunology, and how our thought, our immune system, our endocrine system, the mind, the psychology, and the physical body, the somatic, they're all intertwined. They're all one system, yet we've defined them separately, so we've missed the boat on a lot of things. So to digress, let's go back and look at a couple other different systems. And this here I'm showing is a heart meridian. It's part of traditional Chinese medicine that has a channel of energy along the arm here. And this is why one of the signs of a heart attack is pain down the side of the arm. It's related to the heart meridian. It's also a point in the center of the chest. There's points on the physical body to activate or deactivate, or increase or decrease flow to a certain area related. And there's different words, thought process, and questions that go along with this meridian, and it all intertwines with the spine, of course, which accesses the central nervous system, and the heart and its nervous system correlate back and forth with the central nervous system and with the meridian system and with the mind components, because we as a human being are one whole unit working in operation in perfect harmony if attuned well. That brings us to a talk we have all the time, which is about internal and external forces. And our reality is based on both internal factors and external factors. And what we do on a consistent basis makes an impact. And so that's part of the awareness and awakening healing process. We go deeper into that in the Winning in Every Situation webinar, which there is a link in the description here. And I'm going to pull up a link to share with you right now. For those that are interested in creating a better life for themselves, having better harmony in life, accomplishing their goals, literally, how do you do that? That's why I have this. And this is one of the reasons, one of the things that I do to, number one, live the law, number two, share and do the work that is required to get the results that I desire. And that's by raising you up, because here the motto is we rise by raising others. And so part of the work that I do after this show is to talk about the laws of success. How do we, number one, wake up to where we're stuck? And that's what the book Decode Your Pain is all about, and why I have transformations is to talk about these mind-body connections. But then what do we do once we recognize, all right, we've figured out that our body is showing us information on what to do, what's out of alignment, and then how do we expand our knowledge base so then we can apply in greater effectiveness to bring about a specific result that we desire. And that may be the grand vision that we want to talk about, or maybe a very unique target, something small, something big, something in between. And there's going to be, of course, multiple layers to anyone's long-term vision. But if you just look back 20 years ago and where we are today, you can see a whole course of events that have played themselves out to bring you where you are in your life today. I invite you to consider that life is perfect for you, for everyone, and that you are exactly where you need to be to level up to your next self. However, are you taking the action that is required to get those results, even in the midst of chaos and change, which we are in the midst of that right now? Boy, we are in the midst of the change. And how do we know we're in the midst of the change? Well, I talk about that more in the series tonight, but it has to do with the grand clock in the sky. And we do have lots of information available, even from the mainstream, that talks about how we use the stars as a clock, a calendar, a compass, and a ruler. That's important in how we move forward in our life to create a better environment for ourselves. It's both an active and a passive process. And how do we do that? And I'm glad I flipped over to that, because it's all about managing the emotions that show up as we traverse life's stormy waters. So let me see if I have anything else here for you tonight. If you have any questions, please drop them right now. Otherwise, hop on over to drkevintransformations.com. Get access to the free gift. It's a manual, a 20-page introduction to a Decode Your Pain, with the manual at the end of the back of the book. By all means, this manual is one of the keys to my own success, as I took basically I looked at different areas of knowledge around the world that had a lot in common, and I pulled some of the basic concepts and I labeled the metaphors in which we can look at how our pain in different areas of our mind, in our body, is related to different areas of our mind and things that we're actively going through. And I have a process built here with a number of other components to bring about a greater result in one's own life by using understanding of information from within, expanding one's knowledge, and applying the laws of nature to work in one's own favor. I go over that process here in Winning in Every Situation. That's starting in about a half hour tonight. And if you want that, go to, Dr. Kevin, where are we going to go for that one? The visionlivingmindset.com. visionlivingmindset.com. You'll see that scrolling by in just a second. Otherwise, stay tuned. Hope you have a great Monday. Keep taking action towards your vision. And when you get stuck, drop me a note. We'll hop on a call. Break it through to the other side. Blessings and best squads, everybody. Have a great evening.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Kevin Jumina. This is the first introductory video in becoming your own healer.